who's going to possibly score on the field. Everyone's kind of looking a little flat at this moment. If you said Zoran Basong, well, you win, because that's crazy to me. And I'm so happy for this man, dude, because Eric Tommy just slides the ball out to him on the right, and Zoran just goes top bends, bro, just right above the goalkeeper's head. Mm-hmm. And what a goal. Mm-hmm. Like, that's an excellent goal from us.
Yeah. His first professional goal.
Is it really?
I
didn't read that.
Yep. That's his first professional goal. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of No Other Pod. I'm Jimmy, along with my good buddy Daniel Kooser. Dan, what's going on, my friend?
What's going on, dude? The soccer gods were not good to us this week, my friend. It's a sad day, sad Monday here.
I do feel slightly responsible for jinxing the current. Because, earlier in the day on Saturday, obviously, Sporting played, and wasn't the worst game they've played. If you talk to Kerry Zvagnin, he would say it was the best game that they played all season, which was an interesting quote. But they lost, obviously, and then the Current are playing later in the day, and I text you after the Current are ahead, and I'm like, man, Current are so fun to watch. And you're like, they are. And then, I don't know, half an hour later, they give up 2 goals in the span of the last 5 minutes of the game, and they end up losing the game. So,
talk about focus, man. Oh man, tune in tomorrow, folks, where I berate Chris for calling it a trap game.
Well, turns out
he did. He said that.
Turns out he might know what he was talking about a little bit there.
Exactly. But hey, KC went to Cincinnati and played decent for a minute. It was kind of weird.
Sure, and we'll talk about that. Like, I sort of in jest was saying Kerry said it's the best game of the season. I don't think it was the best game of the season, but I also I know what he's trying to do there. I mean,
that's that Peter acumen right there. Peter would say that too.
There's a little Vermees in him. So
yeah,
you can
he's Vermeesin.
You can take the Sporting out of the Vermees, but you can't take the Vermees out of the Sporting, I guess. So
it's a tree, man. It's a tree, and he's definitely a branch of that tree. And it's we're gonna see some parallels here and there, but I don't necessarily disagree with them, but it was fun to watch at times. I was like, damn, are we hanging tough with these guys? Like, this is new, and
we'll talk about
man. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, to be honest, man. People on the move and shit.
There's roster movement. I mean, you and I, by the time people listen to this, we'll be done with this, but we're going to Monday Night Raw.
Oh, we are going to Raw tonight, dude. I got my mustache. You can't go without a mustache to Monday Night Raw, bro.
That's right.
And then I'm going to shave it tomorrow. Then I'm done.
And then you're done. It's the wrestling mustache. I got my CM Punk shirt, which I know you're very excited about.
Well, I just don't really like him. I'm not really into him. I don't care, I got my Seth Rollins shirt tonight. I'm hoping it's not too chilly today. I know it's a tornado threat today, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah, don't worry. Meteorologist Jimmy is on the case. I've been trashing the storm for the past 4 days.
Yes, you have. Hey, Dan, the weatherman's right there with you. I love it, dude.
I was just checking the weather report right before we recorded, so I think we'll be okay. But
really close buddy of mine works in disaster recovery for Shawnee County, I believe, and he's telling me last night at our improv workshop, he's like, "Oh, severe weather tomorrow," and I was like, "Say what now?" And he's like, "Yep, pay attention to tornadoes and stuff." I was like, "No, I gotta go. I gotta drive an hour. I don't want to do this."
Well, here's the good news for all of you who are listening at least a day later and the weather has already passed. Here's your timely weather update. From what I can tell and from what I'm reading, there are the ingredients for severe weather in Kansas City, but they're not all coalescing at the same time. So it's unlikely that anything will actually materialize over Kansas City. Now, if it does, it'll be severe. But they're saying it's unlikely that we'll actually get it. And if we do get anything, it'll probably be overnight, and it'll be too cold for it to be severe by that point. So that's what I'm telling myself.
So, safest place will have to be under the ring, so that's where I'm going. Get me under there with the tables.
Under the protection of the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins.
Oh, my gosh. Let him know. Let him know.
It should be kind of funny. I will say it was funny because the NFL draft happened this weekend, too. And Seth Rollins came out
of that.
And he announced the Chicago Bears pick in Green Bay, which was pretty funny.
Pretty dope. Like, he hates Green Bay. Like 100%. Like born and raised Bears fan. He hates them.
Which my wrestling fan asked, the first two questions I thought when I saw him come out there is, ooh, I wonder how they decided between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Was there some internal politicking there for the Chicago Bears? And number two, I wonder how pissed Tony Khan is right now, because he's an owner of the Jaguars, or his dad is technically the owner of the Jaguars, but he does a bunch of Jaguars NFL stuff too. But he also was the owner of AEW. So how pissed was he to see Seth Rollins come out and go, "I am a visionary. I am a revolutionary," and it was pretty funny. And the Packers fans started a Roman Reigns chant back at Seth Rollins while he was on the stage. So,
do you watch the draft like every round?
I watch probably the first 4 rounds.
Do you?
And then I kind of have 5, 6, and 7 on in the background while I'm doing other stuff.
I can't get down with the allure. I know I've said this before, and I'm like, all these people gather to see 32 names read.
It's hope.
And it's like, why?
It's hope.
What does that mean?
Everybody's undefeated at the draft until you make your pick. But every team comes in there and they're like, this is our future. This is the pick that's going to turn our team around, and we're going to ride off into the sunset, and suddenly we won't be the Cleveland Browns or the New York Jets anymore, and we're going to be fine. And then you end up picking, if you're the Browns, 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs in the first 5 rounds, and suddenly people remember why they're the Browns. So it's just, I don't know. And honestly, the NFL has turned it into a party. Really?
This is real. Nick just put something in the chat that I can totally relate to. I did care about the draft back when the Chiefs had like a top 4 pick or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's been a while. And now we pick at like 31 and 32 every freaking year. And it's like, I don't give a shit.
But the tackle that the Chiefs got, this is my other favorite thing about the draft. The only time this happens is like the NFL draft and then like presidential election night, where people who have no idea what they're talking about become experts about something in the span of like 30 seconds. And I'm about to do it because the guy that the Chiefs picked, the offensive tackle, the word on the street is he'd actually be a top 5 talent if he didn't have his knee issue. He had an injured knee in October, so he missed some time, but the Chiefs are very happy with where he is physically. So the Chiefs might have got a top 5 talent picking down at number 32. So,
man,
this is a man I've never heard of before they announced his name on there you go draft. But
yeah, Nick, go ahead and send that to Freezing Cold Takes, because Jimmy's your expert here. Give him his own Chiefs podcast here.
My favorite is, and we'll talk about actual soccer stuff here in a second. But like my favorite too is Mel Kiper. He's the guy on there with his hair. He's crazy. He's been doing dress
crazy
50 years.
How you doing your hair like that?
Screaming about Shedeur Sanders like I've never seen. Like this.
Why do people care so much about Shedeur Sanders? What is happening?
Well, they asked about him at the fucking White House press briefing this morning. So
that's weird.
That's a real thing that happened. He's screaming and whatnot. But my favorite draft moment that's burned in my brain because I'm a USC fan. Do you remember the wide receiver Mike Williams for USC? Like back in the day, you might not. He was like 2002, 2003. He was in the Carson Palmer era,
bro. Did he go play for somebody?
He was a top 10 pick. He played for the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
His most famous thing is he played for 2 years in the league or in college football, and then he and Maurice Clarett sued the NFL to let them leave a year early, and they won. So they left, hired an agent, and then that got overturned. But since they'd hired an agent, they were no longer eligible to play college football, so they had to sit out of football for a year. Wow. So that was the question. He's going into the draft. I think it was Todd McShay was like, I won't take him at this point. And Mel Kiper's screaming like he does. And Mel Kiper looks at him and he goes, well, I'll be sitting next to you at his Hall of Fame ceremony. And he lasted like 3 years in the league, I think, and then fizzled out. So this guy gets paid probably millions of dollars to scream on TV and get most of it wrong.
There's so much talk. Everyone's like, okay, Shedeur Sanders, make all the other teams pay. And I'm like, bro, you just went to a team that has about 19 quarterbacks on their roster.
That's true. The craziest story from the draft this weekend, I don't know if you saw how this...
Giants too, by the way. Sorry, Giants too have like 18 quarterbacks.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. Did you hear about the Falcons coach's son who prank called Shedeur Sanders?
Why'd you get all quiet like you're telling a secret?
This is a crazy story. Shedeur Sanders bought a cell phone specifically for the draft that only NFL execs would have the number for. And somehow he got prank called, and they're like, you're getting drafted by this team. And then they realized it was a prank. But there was a whole investigation the NFL is doing about, like, how did they find this? Turns out this coach of the Falcons just left his iPad open in his house, and his dumbass college son was like, I'm going to take that number. I'm going to call Shadur.
That's so funny, dude. That's so funny. I'll never, I mean, the closest thing I had to that, man, I think I was in high school, right out of high school, and we prank called Aaron Miles on KU basketball team.
I was so scared to prank call anybody as a kid.
Yeah.
I was such a rule follower. I was like, I was too scared to walk when the walk sign said don't go on a crosswalk.
Dude, hey, that's real. Remember when you saved my life while crossing Kansas City? I
remember that.
Had
were you going to Nate Bargatze? Where were we going?
We were. I had myself a little Kansas City gummy, so maybe I wasn't completely aware of everything. But it saved my life. I was going to die.
Superhero. You're stepping out, the truck's coming, bam.
That was a moment. Yeah. Dude, that's some Final Destination shit. Death has been chasing me ever since.
All right. Well, we've been talking long enough. Let's take a break real quick. We'll come back. We'll actually talk soccer. There's plenty of soccer stuff to talk about. New acquisitions, old friends going to hated teams. But we'll talk about it. We'll be right back.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Are you ready to win some real cash during the basketball playoffs? Well, check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes the competition, and yeah, that includes Prize Picks. Hit all of your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6, plus even more cash if you outscore the competition. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. New players get 50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to play $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offers. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Man, you mentioned USC earlier, and TNA Wrestling was just at the campus of USC for their pay-per-view last night.
Were they in the Galen Center?
Maybe. It was the huge pay-per-view. Watched it this morning. It was crazy. It was outstanding.
It was in the basketball arena, I'm guessing?
I think so. It's pretty big. Pretty big-ish area. A lot of people.
It's the Galen Center. It seats like 10, 12,000, I think. So for a TNA pay-per-view, that's a pretty good venue.
Oh, it was cool, man. Very cool stuff.
That's awesome. Let's talk some sporting Kansas City soccer, because that is what we're here to talk about. Between last week and this week, actually on Tuesday is when news started breaking late on Tuesday, because Wednesday, I want to say, was the MLS transfer deadline, which we didn't talk about really last week because there was like vague hints that Sporting was trying to sign somebody, but they had a trialist in it. So I'm not going to lie. I honestly wasn't sure that Sporting was going to do anything major at the transfer deadline, especially given that they have no permanent coach and we don't know what the status of Mike Burns will be going forward. Is he going to be the sporting director long term? We don't really know. So I was thinking they're probably going to get through this year, see out some of these contracts that are going to expire, and let the new regime, whoever it is, shape this team as they see fit. Well, I was wrong as hell, because Sporting Kansas City announced on Tuesday afternoon that Sporting KC had acquired Mexican-American forward Santiago Munoz on loan from Santos Laguna. Wow, Santos Laguna. Now, Munoz is a dual citizen of both Mexico and the U.S., so he does not take up an international roster spot, which is crucial. But he's 22 years old. He's just out of the age range for the U22 player initiative because he turns 23 this year. He has mixed success in terms of goal scoring. I think he has 6 goals and 6 assists for 81 appearances for Santos Laguna. He played briefly with Newcastle's U21s. So he's a striker that came in on loan. They have the option to buy after this year. We've seen a lot of jokes of, if you already signed one Mexican striker who struggled to score and it worked out so well the first time and now in Polito, why not do it a second time? The difference, I guess, would be that this guy's a lot younger than Polito. But
Sure.
At the time when this was announced, we didn't know what, if any, other moves were going to come. So you hear that Sporting Kansas City signs a striker. What were you thinking when you first heard this news?
Well, I mean, you watched that press conference with Carey, like that happened pretty soon. And everyone's got the same freaking response, right? Like, well, we're always evaluating talent and looking to bolster our roster and improve our system. And it's like, oh, all right, we know. You're always looking. Okay. My thoughts were, damn, I'm about to break out my Santos Laguna jersey out the closet. That's what I thought. But I also thought someone's going to leave this team. Like we're gonna lose somebody because we're adding somebody. And that's essentially what happened.
Yeah, it didn't make sense for us to have 3 strikers of the level that we have, at least on the roster. The thing I like about the Munoz deal is, 1, he's not an international roster spot. 2, he's young. So even though he's only got, 6 goals, 6 assists, he's got time to develop. Maybe he'll come here and find more success. He's not going to be asked to be a starter right away. And it's a loan to buy. So see what he does throughout the rest of the year. If you see stuff that you like, you see some potential there, then you could, acquire him permanently. And then you got a guy to back up Dejan Jovic. Now, what I was curious about is, okay, this doesn't bode well for William Agata, which has been interesting because, Agata, he hasn't really been much of a factor at all this season. I think there were some people, I remember Matt Doyle before the season when Sporting KC acquired Dejan Jovic, who was like, I don't really understand this. I feel like William Agata could be the guy. And we talked about that. Agata's great, but he's got some finishing issues at times, weirdly, especially weirdly considering how many goals he's actually scored.
Boy, someone put together a freaking highlight reel or low light reel of all his like misses, and I'm like, oh no, why? How you gonna do the man like that?
It's a bummer. That's the thing. Is like on a personal level, like he's one of my most favorite players I've ever seen.
Human beings, absolutely.
Just genuinely, always so joyful, all the time. Kissing Peter,
moving off the ball too, like getting in decent positions.
Moving off the ball. I mean, I just like. Truly, he is just a joy to watch. And he's a joy to cover in the locker room. Like whenever we were talking to him, no matter what, he was always gracious, thankful. He's dapping people up, always saying hi to the media. Like it's a mixed bag sometimes when you get international players who come to MLS because they're not used to dealing with media in that way. So sometimes they're kind of standoffish. And then other times you get somebody like Willie who just was like, you know what, this is cool, and I'm just going to treat everybody with kindness and respect. So mad props to Willie, but he did, unfortunately, get transferred to Real Salt Lake. Now, positive for Sporting, I guess, up to $850,000 in general allocation money for William Agata. That's not bad. That feels like that's a decent amount of money for a guy who this year has played 164 minutes and has no goals. Like, he wasn't going to be in your plans, and he's out of contract after this year anyway. You might as well get close to $1 million for him. Dude,
it's a decent transaction, 100%. Dude, if you count up all the misses though he had like in a calendar year, it's like, oh man, that dude would have scored some goals. And these are easy bunnies, right? These are like PKs. these are right on goal, right on target, and you just shoot it wide or over the bar. And it's like, man, he would have been top scorer, sporting legend talk shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is really unfortunate that things just went the way they did for Agata, because he could have been. I called him a fan favorite when I put out a tweet about it, and I got somebody being like, "Can he really be a fan favorite if he's only played 160 minutes this year?" And I'm like, honestly, yes, I think he can. Like, I think people genuinely liked.
Well, you're a fan, and he was a favorite of yours. Fan favorite.
Right. That's right. But I think, if you, the interesting thing about him is if you look at the advanced stats, last year, 2024, William Agata, he had 10 goals. I think was that the most on the team? It might have been. He might have been the Golden Boot winner again. I don't remember, but it was up there. There were very few people on the team last year who had 10 or more goals, and he might have been the only one. However, his XG for 2024 is 14.37. He underperformed his XG by nearly 4.5 goals in 2024. And I think that was sort of the thing with Willie, is he would find chances and then he just sometimes struggled to put away the goals that he needed to. I mean, his best season was last year, but he underperformed his goals to expected goals by -4.5. Even in 2022, when he came in and won the Golden Boot, had that stellar second half of the season, 8 goals, he barely broke even with his goals to expected goals. I mean, he's got in his career as a whole with Sporting KC, he's in the negative for goals to expected goals. So I wish him well, I guess. Not too well with Salt Lake.
We'll see you soon.
Or we will. Now, what sucks probably even, excuse me, I'm getting choked up. What sucks probably even more than William Agata is the next day, well, a few days later, this had been rumored, and unfortunately it came to fruition. This man is a fan favorite. This man is a future sporting legend. Johnny Russell signed with Real Salt Lake.
Well, good for him, I guess. I mean, from a professional standpoint, you were kind of hoping he'd land somewhere, and get because he wanted to keep playing.
He did.
But God damn it, it's still like seeing your ex with another person. It's like, this hurts, but I gotta hit therapy to get through it.
It's like seeing your ex with a guy that you kind of have beef with. That kind of an asshole who you've gotten into it with a little bit, and your ex defended you at times and was like, "You're right, he is an asshole. Fuck that guy." And then you break up, and a week later, she's like, "You know what? He's kind of hot. I think I kind of like him."
or it's just like, hey, he's got some money, and that's what it is.
Yeah, you know what? He is an asshole, but hey, he's willing to buy me some stuff, and I'm like, God damn it. It is just
Johnny.
It's a bummer, and again, this isn't the first time this has happened. Beasler went on to play for Austin, and they don't have the same history with Sporting that obviously RSL does, but it was super weird seeing Beasler in an Austin jersey. It was weird seeing Benny in an LAFC or a Colorado jersey. I mean, it's going to be weird as hell to see Johnny Russell in the Claret and Cobalt, and it's going to suck. Yeah, but, he wants to keep playing. And he'll be back one day as a sporting legend, and it'll happen. Mark your calendars. June 28th, 2025. RSL comes to play at Children's Mercy Park. And assuming Johnny Russell's healthy, that'll be the first time he's stepping foot on that field, not as a member of Sporting Kansas City. So,
how fun.
And he's going to get a standing ovation.
Yeah.
It's, And this is one of those situations where I don't know how he'll feature in the squad. Like if he is a big, minutes getter or a key attacker, or if he's going to be a bench guy. But this is one of those situations. You see this a couple of times when players have played most of their career in one place. If he comes back and scores at Children's Mercy Park, I can almost guarantee there will be no celebration. Like it's going to be one of those like he scores, he walks back to the midline, like he's going to show some respect for the fans if it does happen.
Sure.
But
Well, he's not a Diego Rubio that's going to go do backflips on our field. No, that's crazy. Also such a weird thing. It's such a weird, like, unwritten rule, if you will, to not celebrate on your old team's field. I kind of am like, I disagree with it. I'm like, celebrate, bro. It's sports, man. And it's all it's a show. I mean, you and I are wrestling fans. We get it that things are a show. But at the end of the day, soccer's entertainment too. So, Johnny, go off. Do a slide. Do some flips, man. I don't care. I mean, it's he didn't leave on bad blood. I'd be perfectly fine if he did celebrate, short of like rubbing his butt on midfield or something. Like something like a classy celebration. Why not?
Rubbing his butt on midfield.
I just think like a dog rubs their butt on carpet. Like,
the celebration I think that sticks out most in my mind and at Children's Mercy Park from an opposing player that I can think of in relatively recent history is, you remember when Landon Donovan scored the game winner, like in his like second time back with
that was bullshit.
And he was wearing some crazy number, and the Cauldron had been giving him shit the entire game, and then he scored a late winner, and he just ran in front of the Cauldron like, "Oh, I can't hear you now," and I was like, "God damn it,
dude!" He hit that. That was like outside the box, dude. I was at that game. I was like, "You can't be serious."
I was so mad. But, I don't know. I mean, look, Johnny, and especially Johnny, but even William Agata, like, I do wish them well. I wish them individual professional success. I hope RSL loses every game they play, but I want them to be successful, and I look forward to the day a few years from now, whenever that is, when Johnny Russell comes back. Some people actually disagree with me. I think he's a surefire sporting legend. Do you think he is, or what are your thoughts? He never won a trophy with Sporting.
Yeah, I know. They're basing it off accolades and stats and stuff. It's like, okay, maybe not, but it's like something feels like he should be. I don't know. You've got some discourse going on online. You got some back and forth with some peeps.
Not recently, but I remember when Johnny, when the club announced that they weren't bringing him back, and I was like, he's a sporting legend. He'll be on the wall one day. And some people were like, like most people agreed, but there were some people like, should you be a sporting legend if you never won a trophy? And I was like, I do get that to an extent, but also, like, is it Johnny's fault that the roster around him wasn't built in a way that was conducive to winning a championship? For me, when I look at a sporting legend, I look at what did you do in terms of, giving yourself to the club, your mentality around the club, how you carried yourself, represented the club, were you a good player, etc. And like, when I think about the last 10 years of Sporting Kansas City soccer, like the ups and the downs, that story can't be told without Johnny Russell being mentioned in the first breath. And I go back to his very first game and getting face to face with Kendall Waston and all that he's done and meant, and to the club since then. And I'm just like, to me, yes, he's, you know what? Even if he's not a sporting legend one day, he's a Jimmy legend. I'll put Johnny Russell's name on my wall somewhere here. I'll send it to him, and I'll be like, look, you're a legend in my heart, Johnny.
Amazing.
We should probably take our second break here, and then we'll come back and we'll talk the FC Cincinnati game, but we'll take our break and we'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
I mentioned it last week. Everyone's talking about it. Sinners. The movie, dude. It is cool. You got to see this shit.
I know.
You got to get over there.
This is the first movie in a while. Even more so, and look, I'm going to break some news to you. I still haven't seen the latest Captain America movie because I never got to the theaters to see it. So I don't know anything. Don't spoil it for me. I'm going to watch it once it hits Disney Plus. But
you'll get it spoiled somewhere.
Sinners is the first movie of this year where I'm like, God damn it, I need to get to the theater to see this movie. And I don't even know what it's about.
Well, I mean, the vampires. I mean, obviously.
I didn't know that.
Oh, well, now you do.
I thought it was hilarious. Like, show up and I'm like, I don't know what this is. And suddenly there's vampires. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Trailers show that it's clearly a thing. I was sitting with Marissa and shit starts going down and she goes, "Is this a vampire movie?"
That would have been me. I would have been in the theater looking around me and like, what the fuck are we watching?
I just look at her and I go, yeah.
All I know is it's Ryan Coogler and people love it. So that's literally all I know. It's the same thing when I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once. I had just been hearing, this is the best movie of the year. You got to go see it. And I did not know the vibe of the movie. I just was like, I know it's a multiverse movie and I'm going to go watch it. And I'm halfway through and it took me literally until the hot dog fingers part where I'm like, oh, I get it. Okay. Now I understand the vibe of this movie. And that's like an hour into the movie.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Pretty weird.
Sinners.
I know you don't like people texting in the movies and I or being on their phones in general. And I'm like, I don't think there's a way to stop it unless you go to Alamo Drafthouse, where they have a no tolerance policy on people on their devices. You will be removed from the theater. And I'm like, why can't every theater do that?
What's their tolerance for people bringing live chickens into the theater?
People do that at Alamo Drafthouse?
I didn't see the Alamo Drafthouse.
Oh, okay.
Or the Minecraft movie, the chicken jockey thing that's going on.
I can't be seeing this Minecraft movie. No, I know nothing about it. I'm like, what? But it almost feels like a moment in time, like you have to see it. Almost like for Francis Coppola's Megalopolis, which was just a freaking shit show that they pulled all the Blu-rays. Like you can't even find the movie. And I'm like, I feel like I need to see this movie because it was so bad.
Yeah, no, it's a thing where it's mostly the teens, the youths of America who are there going, and it's a meme now. But yeah, there's a character in Minecraft where it's a little zombie that rides on a little chicken, and they call it chicken jockey, and so it appears like 2 seconds in the movie, and these damn kids been going crazy. And I saw one video where they lit off literal fireworks in the theater.
No, I think you should look. That was fact checked. It was actually during something else.
Was it?
But I saw that video too, and I was like, this can't be real.
A live chicken is a real thing. The guy got up on another man's shoulders and held up a chicken and yelled "chicken jockey."
Yeah, that was pretty weird.
How do you sneak a live chicken into a movie theater? You can barely sneak Raisinets into a movie theater, let alone a live chicken.
Listen, look, I sneak sandwiches. Yeah, I do. I put them in baggies, dude. I got sandwiches in my cargo pants. You got cargo pants. Those pockets are for snacks, baby.
Yeah. Well, one day they're going to start checking your cargo pockets and they're going to be like, what is this? You be like, it's vegan egg salad. And they'll be like, why are you bringing that to a movie theater?
So extra. Vegan egg salad sounds like a crazy sandwich to make.
Let's talk.
Hey, Joe's.
Let's talk about this Cincinnati game finally.
Hey, we were behind the enemy lines last week on a podcast.
We went on Cincy Talk, their Jersey Swap podcast. And you know what? Sometimes we know what we're talking about because they asked us, they're like, of the player on Cincinnati that you're, most concerned about, who is it? And we're like, obviously Evander, MVP candidate, etc. But I was
you said something else.
Kevin Denke, he's the guy I'm concerned about because we got a center back pairing that's going to be young and inexperienced. It's probably going to be Jansen Miller, Robert Voloder. So sure, Evander, whatever. But Kevin Denke, even though he hasn't been around all that long, he's the one I'm concerned about.
Rightfully so.
And apparently I was right.
Scored 2 goals.
This man, turns out he's pretty good.
Almost had 3.
Probably should have had 3. But Cincinnati, it's such an interesting team because like outside of Evander, and then there's like DeAndre Yedlin and Matt Miazga, which is great. Their back line is like 3/5 of the U.S. men's national team back line from 6 years ago, which is crazy because they got DeAndre Yedlin, Matt Miazga, and Miles Robinson, which I didn't even realize until we saw their lineup. And I was like, I didn't know that Cincinnati was just putting together the, early Greg Berhalter U.S. men's national team back line. But, they're obviously a solid team. When we went on Cincy Soccer Talk, we talked with them a little bit about how, when they came into the league, they were sort of in a spot that Sporting's in now, where they were in that wooden spoon conversation. They had some overturn with coaching. It took them a minute to find their footing, but then they started spending more money. They brought in some high-priced designated players. They started spending money even within the league when they signed Lucho Acosta, who's no longer there, but they replaced him with Evander, who's an MVP candidate this year. So Cincinnati, to me, is actually kind of a blueprint for Sporting Kansas City over the next, 3-4 years to model after. And I mean, you could see from the game early on that, this is a quality side. It's a great place to watch a game. I haven't been there myself, but I want to get there someday to see a game in Cincinnati because they're a very good soccer town. And for the most part, Sporting held their own for quite a lot of the game. If you look at the advanced stat, Sporting actually held Cincinnati to under a 1 xG, 0.86 xG on 15 shots. That's, according to FotMob, that's pretty good from a defensive standpoint, which is, I think, where Carey's kind of talking about. Now, unfortunately, in the 43rd minute, Kevin Denke, he just finds himself in the right place at the right time, which is what strikers do. And Pulskamp honestly makes a pretty decent save.
Huge save.
Off of a shot. Some defenders lose their runners. I don't even know who it is on Cincinnati that takes this shot, but Pulskamp does well. Does what you're supposed to do as a goalkeeper. Parries it to the left or to the side, away from the center of the box. And it just so happened that Kevin Denke was right there and nobody decided to run with him. And it's probably Logan and Denbe who should be tracking there with him. He doesn't. And Denke just first times this into the back of the net. Nothing Pulskamp can do.
Yeah, oh my God, I'm watching it right now. We turn it over in midfield. Like, we have possession. This starts with the takeaway on their end. And But dude, that full extension initial save from Pulskamp,
it's a good save.
It's pretty dope. That's some Superman shit. But man, he's so upset to give up this goal, and rightfully so, because he's just right there. Center back wasn't as far back to cover him. Logan and Denbe was kind of behind him. It couldn't cover him. So it's one of those unfortunate things, man. You got to find your man, like regroup, find your man.
Yeah. It starts kind of early because Volader did his Andre Ufontes impression. He kind of steps up a little high. And so Jansen Miller, he's running with Kevin Denke because Volader has stepped out of his space. So now Miller sees Denke running to where Volader is supposed to be. There's nobody there. That leaves the middle, the middle of the field wide open. And that's where Pavel Bucha, he's able to find space, and he eventually lays it off for Engel on Cincinnati. There's just too much space, and it kind of starts with Volader steps up too much. Nemanja Radia doesn't track with a runner either. So it's just the theme of this goal is Sporting Kansas City did not track the runners that they were supposed to on sort of 3 different occasions, and it ends with Logan and Denbe not tracking with Kevin Denke, and Denke's able to just tap it in. And I feel for Pulskamp because this goal's not on Pulskamp.
No, definitely not.
Not in the slightest. Halftime, 1-0. Sporting certainly not out of it, but at this point they hadn't shown a ton of attacking teeth. They really didn't show a ton for most of the game. We'll get to a goal.
Shoppy had a lot of freaking moments like around the box, and even the announcers noted like this man really needs the ball on his left foot. Mm-hmm. He's I don't know, he's kind of a Johnny Russell situation where he likes to be out there so he can cut in on his left,
Yeah.
And then when he actually did hit one with his right, it went wide of the goal.
Way wide. Yeah.
I need him to focus on that a little more. This was a rough game, dude. But I was feeling okay being down 1-0. I was like, surely we're in a decent spot away from home here.
Yeah, it didn't feel insurmountable. And Shoppy's 25. You'd like him to have developed his secondary foot a little bit more by the time he turns 25. Clearly, he's never been asked to. But you're right. It was in the first half where he got the ball in a dangerous spot near the top of the box, and I was kind of surprised he even attempted it with his right foot because it's been very rare we've seen him do that.
Yeah. And he's like, fine, I'm just going to have to because they're taking away my left.
And yeah, it didn't. He can't get the curl on it. It just floated wide right of the net. So he definitely needs to work on that. I will say, we've been trying to find a guy to take our set pieces, and Shoppy, if it's on that right side of the field and he can take it with his left, a little in-swinger, he's pretty good. He had a couple set pieces that, didn't obviously convert to goals, but he's putting the ball in a more dangerous spot than some of the other set pieces we've taken up until this point this year. So Shoppy might be our set piece guy.
Yeah, big possibility.
Unfortunately, we still have trouble defending set pieces. And, there's a couple of things that happened in this one. The ball is initially cleared from the box. It's recycled around. This is the 78th minute. Cincinnati on a corner. Sporting clears the ball out of the box. It's recycled around. Robert Volader gets, taken a little bit. and out wide, cross gets sent in. And then, I mean, sure, should Jansen Miller maybe be a little bit stronger and trying to go up for a challenge here? I guess, but this is a tip your hat goal to Kevin Danke, who just an absolutely perfect bicycle kick, not only to get it on target, but to put it in a spot where John Pulskamp can't save it. It's got power. It's got accuracy. You could try this 1,000 times, and you might only successfully pull this off twice. I mean, this was a beauty.
This was so dumb. So dumb. And of course, the man has to take his jersey off to show his physique. He's like, yeah, I also have all these muscles. I have a good bicycle kick, and here's my six-pack. Mm-hmm. I didn't like seeing us circle the web being part of a highlight that was a low light for us.
It sucked.
So that does suck. The cross was brilliant too, but Jansen Miller's right there just going like, oh man, I don't want to get kicked in the face. Oh damn. How do you defend that?
Well, that's the thing that's why I'm like, maybe there's a way. If it probably has to come with positioning. He's got to be better positioned from the get-go. I mean, if you watch the highlight, when the cross is sent in, Miller's standing about 3 yards behind Danke, maybe 4 yards behind Danke. You probably want to be a little closer on him when the cross is sent in. That way you don't give him that space to rev up for that bicycle kick. But yeah, once he starts the bicycle kick, I mean, you can see he's revving up for it. And Miller, he's got, that's so Raven visions of getting a boot straight to the face. And so that's why he ducks away. I don't blame him in that sense. I just would like his positioning to be a little better from the get-go, probably. But
yeah, man, Danke had a pretty good shot on goal later on that Pulskamp had to really sprawl out and save with one hand. I was like, man, this dude's going to get 3 goals. It was a matter of time. And I didn't expect us to score because you're getting down into like the 89th minute. You're just like, I don't know, man. It just feels like we're kind of done. And who's showing flashes, right? Who's going to possibly score on the field? Everyone's kind of looking a little flat at this moment. If you said Zoran Basong, well, you win because that's crazy to me. And I'm so happy for this man, dude, because Eric Tommy just slides the ball out to him on the right. And Zoran just goes top bins, bro, just right above the goalkeeper's head. Mm-hmm. And what a goal. Mm-hmm. Like that's an excellent goal from us.
Yeah. His first professional goal.
Is it really?
I
didn't read that.
Yep. That's his first professional goal.
I mean, he's not an attacking player really, but to be in that position, man, and to know that he can do that. Okay. Would love to see more of it.
We've heard from training that Zoran has a bit of a laser off of his foot. He hasn't really found the time this season early on he was starting in the midfield, but as of late, as the midfield got more healthy, he's been more of a reserve player. Historically, he played left back, which is, especially in the Sporting system, they can contribute to the attack, but they're not a primary goal scoring threat. My favorite thing about this goal, like you said, is the finish. I mean, he takes one little touch, sets it up, and then top bins off his right foot. Incredible. I do also want to give a shout out. You mentioned Eric Tommy. Very subtle by Eric Tommy here. And this is where occasionally you see this quality from Tommy. And I wish we could see this more because Tommy, a lot of times he'd just be the direct attacking player and take this himself. But he very subtly winds up like he's about to take this shot from distance. And it just holds the Cincinnati defender in place long enough. And then instead of shooting, he just pulls back and lays it off to Zoran Basong with a perfectly weighted little pass. And that little sort of that fake shot holds the defender in place long enough to give Zoran Basong just enough space to score the goal. So it ultimately still a 2-1 loss, which I believe is what the prediction was on the Cincinnati podcast from Jeff, who was interviewing us on behalf of Cincy Soccer Talk. He predicted a 2-1 Cincinnati win. So shout out to Jeff. We predicted we probably are going to lose. So
yeah, I mean, we all were right. We all can celebrate that or commiserate, however you want to do it. But yeah, it's just here we are, man. But guess what? We get to welcome a struggling LA Galaxy team to our place on Sunday. A little Sunday night soccer.
Yeah, this will be interesting. There's a couple things. First off, it's the media game. I'm going to be there on the field at halftime. What team am I on? I don't even remember. I pulled it up here.
Man,
I'm on Team Sporting. So it's I'm going to be there. One thing I'm a little happy about this year, I think this is the first time that I've actually been on his team, is I'm on Carlos Chicas's team, who he's a nice man. He's a Spanish language reporter that covers Sporting KC. He's been around for a long time. This man goes hard. He goes hard in the paint when he's playing in the media game, and I'm like, I don't want to have to try to defend Carlos anymore. So this is the first time in my 4 or 5 times I've done this that I'm actually on his team. So I'm probably not going to score, but I'm not going to have to run my ass off trying to defend him. But we'll see. I am on the opposite team of Daniel Sperry. I am on the opposite team of Thad Bell, and I'm on the opposite team of Andrew Wiebe and Nate Ducati. So,
is Weeby playing?
Wiebe's playing. So
Hold on, dude. You've got a lot of it. You got a lot of people who are going to come at you as a defender. So you need to just stay in the box, bro, because you're gonna have a lot of poachers knowing that there's no offsides here.
that's my plan.
I just named a lot of poachers there.
Yeah, you know my plan. I don't get up normally in the media game. They run like a 1-1-17 formation, where there's like 20 people who are trying to all be the forward, and I'm one of 2 or 3 people that try to stay back and play defense. So I'll do it again. We'll see. But
Good. I mean, someone has to be, dude. You're doing the Lord's work back there. No one else wants to do it.
maybe I'll find. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it because since I moved, I still have boxes around, even though it's been months. I have a captain's armband somewhere. Maybe I'll just put it on myself and walk out on the field as a defender wearing a captain's armband for no reason and just declare myself captain.
If you don't have one, I have one that I will give to you because I've never used it. I was gonna wear it as a joke in my own league. I never did it because I was like, I don't know, I don't want to do it.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'll do it or not, but it would be kind of funny for me to just be out there pretending to be calling the shots, having no authority whatsoever.
Hell yes, just ordering shit around. Go full Beasler on it, dude.
Run up to the referee and argue and point to my captain's armband. So I am excited for that. So stick around at halftime to watch me playing that. But you're right. This is a game of a couple struggling teams. This is what I would call a potential get right game for Sporting Kansas City because the LA Galaxy are in dead last. They are tied for the wooden spoon on points. They are technically worst in the league because they have the worst goal differential in the league, even worse than Montreal. The Galaxy are at -10 goal differential. They have scored 8 goals, or excuse me, -12 goal differential. They've scored 8 goals. They have allowed 20 goals. Now, we have technically allowed more goals than the Galaxy at 21. That is second worst in the league. Only Chicago and DC United have allowed 22 goals. But we've scored 16. So we've scored twice as many as the LA Galaxy. It does not help that the Galaxy don't have Ricky Puig. They obviously don't have Dejan Jovic. But this is a chance for Sporting to, again, build on what they've been working on under Karius Vagnon and try to get some points.
This is a 3-point situation. If you don't get 3 points out of this, this is a bad deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is serious, man. Like it's not the end of the season. It's not like must get points here, must win. But like, come on, this is, it's for the taking here.
Yeah, and what's interesting is if you look at the players individually by name on the Galaxy, they don't seem like they should be this bad on paper. I mean, Christian Ramirez, at this point, he's a little older, but he's been around the league for a while. He's a guy who's scored 20 goals. Gabriel Peck, a winger, fantastic player. Joseph Paintsil's been dangerous. Diego Fagundes has had success in the past. Edwin Cirillo, I mean, certainly somebody who has been successful in the league. And then coming off the bench, which is crazy to say, Marco Reus, who played most of his career with Borussia Dortmund. They have some names. They just haven't been able to put it together. And so much so that as recently as last week, Galaxy fans were calling for Greg Vanney to be fired 10 games after he won MLS Cup without his star midfielder. Yeah. So, but this is a game where, as bad as LA has been, and they just lost this last week to Portland, 4-2. Portland put up 4 on them, and Galaxy got their 2 goals from Christian Ramirez and Marco Royce in the span of 2 minutes. But at that point, it was already 3-0. So then they brought it back to 3-2, and then Portland got a penalty kick to make it 4-2. Sporting needs to win this game. If you, like you said, you don't beat the worst team in the league at home when you're trying to course correct, then I don't know what to tell you. You have to win this game.
You have to.
So am I going to sit here and predict a win? You know what? I am. I probably just jinxed it. I'm going to say Sporting's going to go out there and find a way to win this game. But like, I mean, if they don't do this, I don't know. The quotes I'm seeing coming out of the Galaxy remind me of Sporting from years past, because like Marco Royce was talking about how, like, in order to get out of this, the team needs to hate losing, and there's kind of the implication that, like, oh, this team doesn't hate losing enough. It's like a mentality. It's that word, mentality issue, with the Galaxy. And so I'm hoping that Carey can dig deep, find somebody who can, do something for the Galaxy or for Sporting against the Galaxy and make something happen here. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it other than you cannot let the Galaxy, certainly can't let them get their first win on the year, and a draw against the Galaxy at this point is a disappointment.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Take care of business. Do not be the team that lets them win their first win of the year. Like, come on.
I think it will be huge for Sporting to start fast, get a goal in the first 25 minutes. Like, take the lead, put a little pressure on the Galaxy, and then if you can get a 2-goal lead and really take control of the game, that's when, especially with how leaky the Galaxy defense is, if Sporting can go up 2 goals at some point in the game, I think the floodgates could open, and this could end up being a 3 or 4 goal win potentially, because the Galaxy are going to have to open up. They're going to have to expose themselves on the back line a little bit more, and their defense is very leaky, and Sporting's attack has looked pretty good. So it's one of those situations where it's either going to be a stupidly ugly game and it's going to be frustrating, or Sporting might win by 2, 3, 4 goals because it could open up and they could really start clicking in the attack. But I don't know. I'm hoping for the latter.
Do you remember last year when they came to town? We were whooping some ass.
It was
And,
3-0.
bro, then they came back to beat us.
It was bad. And Janjelic was a part of that.
Yes, he was. I think he scored. Did he not?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Okay.
So
I hope we can get shit done, man.
I hope so too. The weather should be pretty decent. It was 2-0. We were up and they ended up winning 4-2. Is that right? No, I'm looking at the wrong game. That was when we were trying to figure out. It was 2-0 and we ended up losing 3-2. And yeah, it was Janjelic who scored the game tying goal. That's right. I'm remembering this now. I'm looking at the stats now. They didn't get their first goal until the 72nd minute. It was Eric Zavaleta who scored in the 72nd minute. And I remember we're thinking it's 2-0, 20 minutes left. You just got to see this out. Great. Then they score in the 72nd minute. We're like, okay. And then Janjelic scored 3 minutes later to tie it. And we were like, shit. And then Marco Delgado scored in the 80th minute to take the lead. And it all came undone in 8 minutes. And we were like, what the hell just happened? So, but then they went on to win MLS Cup. So,
Sure did.
but I'm hopeful. I think we'll get it.
I'm hopeful. I'm
think we
hopeful.
can
We're
get
okay.
Yeah. So we'll see. Is there anything else sporting related you want to talk about real quick? I got a couple of non-sporting stuff that we can touch
Nah,
on.
man. Sporting's done. Yeah. Let's get that dub. Gotta have it.
Outside of sporting, I would say, there were some interesting results around the league. Nashville put up a touchdown and an extra point on Chicago, 7-2 at Geodis Park, which is insane. Most interesting thing for me this week, how about a couple of back-to-back losses across all competitions for one, Inter Miami?
Pretty wild. That was a hell of a game against Dallas. I think they were 3-3 towards the end, and Dallas picked up the winner. 4-3
winner. Yeah. So they beat Miami 4-3. Now, this was after Miami was on short rest because of the CONCACAF Champions Cup game. Lionel Messi did not play in this game. He was not even available off the bench. So take that for what it is. What Lionel Messi did play in was the game against Vancouver at BC Place in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And Vancouver, masterclass of a game, they just saw this one out, ended up getting their first goal from Brian White in the 24th minute, and then Sebastian Berhalter, son of Greg Berhalter, scored the second goal in the 85th minute to seal it in the first leg at least. So now Vancouver will head down to Miami for the second leg of the CONCACAF Champions Cup with a 2-goal lead. If they can snag one on the road in Miami, that might do it, because that would mean Miami would have to score 4 goals to win.
Yeah. No, that's insane. Vancouver's playing very good soccer this year, man. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. It's just pretty interesting. And I'm sure that CONCACAF and even MLS, they're very nervous having seen Miami go down 2 goals in the first leg of this CONCACAF Champions Cup game, because they want Miami in that final, whether it's against Tigres or Cruz Azul, who both drew 1-1. Now Cruz Azul got the road goal, so they're at a slight advantage. But Vancouver is not the draw Miami is. But for us MLS sickos, Vancouver, I would gladly root for Vancouver over a Liga MX team. I don't think I'd gladly root for Miami over a Liga MX team.
Yeah, gladly, absolutely.
I'd reluctantly maybe kind of root for Miami just for MLS, but I don't. I think I might just not watch if it's Miami.
I think so, man. You want to talk about that Nashville game real quick?
Let's do it. That's crazy.
First of all, I want to say Chicago Fire put out a fun tweet of the final score that just showed Nashville more and Chicago less.
At some point, you got to do something. Like, that's credit to them. What are you going to do?
Just make fun of yourself. It was 7-2, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it started 7-0.
Oh, shit. Just a thumping. That's crazy.
It's so funny if you look at the match summary on MLS.com, MLSsoccer.com. The first 4 items, because they show goals, they show subs, they show cards, they show everything. The first 4 items on the match summary are just Nashville, goal, Nashville, goal, Nashville, goal, Nashville, goal. It just goes 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. And finally, Chicago's like, maybe we should make some subs. So it's just ridiculous.
This was in Nashville, right?
It was in Nashville.
What a time for their fans. Like, they're just loving it, dude. Just having a great time.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild. Anytime you see 7 goals, it's pretty intense. Sam Surridge, he's the striker for Nashville, who came over from Nottingham Forest. He'd spent time with Stoke City. He had 4 goals in this game. Now, 2 of them were PK goals, but he got the PK goal to open it. He got a PK goal in the 9th minute of stoppage time in the first half, which is crazy. And then, as if it wasn't enough, I was already 5-0, and then he scored again in the 50th minute and again in the 57th minute. And then finally, Nashville's like, maybe we should take out our star striker when it's 7-2. And so they took him out in the 73rd minute for old friend Teal Bunbury.
Ah, nice.
So, but
what a time.
7 is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, we've been on the receiving end of a 7-goal performance a couple of times. I think it was Portland the last one on the road when it just went off the rails a couple seasons ago.
That's possible.
It's not fun. It's not.
Can't imagine the plane ride home is very fun either. You're just like, damn, about to watch some bad movies.
Thankfully, Nashville to Chicago is not a long plane ride.
No.
But now Vancouver to Miami, that plane ride back, that probably sucked. That's like a 6.5-hour plane ride.
Yeah, probably pretty long.
That might be the literal longest possible flight in MLS. Is my guess. So, yeah. But I think that's what we got. I guess maybe one last thing, just fun to laugh at. St. Louis kind of had their hearts broken. They were tied 1-1 with LAFC. Then they got a red card in the 83rd minute, and they were down a man. And then they got a goal in the 89th minute to go up 2-1, and they think they're going to steal 3 points on the road. And then Dennis Bouanga scored in the 5th minute of stoppage time to steal a point back for LAFC and break the hearts of St. Louis. So, love it. Shout out to Bouanga.
Love to see it.
Mm-hmm. Anything else for our good listeners before we call it?
That's it, man. 3 points coming Sunday. No injuries for Jimmy on Sunday. Let's go.
I have been doing a little bit more jogging, getting back into the cardio, trying to get myself ready to go for the media game. So we'll see.
Boy, I've been doing higher steps as I step up on boxes. It's higher boxes now.
There you go. Hey, that's progress. That's awesome.
We're rolling.
So, well, thank you all so much for listening. We'll be back next week, hopefully after a victory pod against the LA Galaxy or a victory pod for me in the media game. We'll see. Either way, I'm going to count it as a victory pod. But make sure you check us out on socials at NorthernPod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMac03. Make sure you leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. Shoot us an email, northernpod@gmail.com, or check us out on YouTube, KCSN Soccer, or via the Kansas City Sports Network app. But until next time, he's Dan. I'm Jimmy. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.
Fuck LA.